This is Christy Lakin, who's the developer on this project, who's in one of these structures. Took this property and made it into 3 different lots. And on each lot, put a single-family house, this is one of them, and a detached accessory dwelling unit. So from the city's perspective, this is just 3 lots, each with a house and an ADU. And then she took the additional step, which is close that I experimented with once before, and said, well, let's just make this whole property, fence to fence, owned by one condominium association. And then have each house be defined to be above the roof, below the foundation, beyond the eaves, owned as a condo unit. So each person here owns one of the structures, or will own it once it's completed. And that way they have this area here in commons. And you can also, the condominium ownership structure is extremely flexible. So I'm guessing that this porch here, Christy, this is Christy, this is our girl. Hi, good to see you. I'm guessing that this porch is limited common element or something like that.
Correct.
So there are ways to define sort of gray areas between privately owned, publicly owned, general common element, and in between, limited common element, which can be either maintained by the person of the house or by the association. You have some latitude in how you handle that. But the idea is, why would you do this? Well, typically Portland would just let you do 3 single-family homes here, right? And then they allow you to do accessory dwelling units. But usually when you sell a lot, you get both, the house and the ADU. And in a neighborhood like this, or in Saban where I did it, single-family homes are selling for a lot more than like $250,000. So you have neighborhoods where there's no way anybody can afford to buy anything under $350,000, $400,000. But if you can sell the accessory dwelling units separately, then you can hit a first-time home buyer price point, right? Which the current, as you probably know, Portland's housing market is not making anything for first-time home buyers right now. So this is one kind of a trick. So you can get some things at a first-time home buyer price point by using accessory dwelling units. And condominium process has no involvement by the city of Portland in it. So if you see like these 4-story apartment buildings going up, maybe you've seen that, I don't know. If you have, then the city of Portland says that's just an apartment building. They don't care if it's condos or ownership, they don't even know. I mean, the developer permits it as a building, and then afterwards they come in and if they want to, they can make it condos or not, whatever they want to do. So the same thing happens with single family lots. You can do the same thing. You build it as a house and an ADU, and then it costs some money, maybe 20 grand or 15 grand if you do most of it yourself, to make it a condo, and then you just sell separately, and the city doesn't even have a role.
So this houses are selling for as condos as
This
well
is a condo also, yeah. So it's a trade-off. If you have an existing house and a detached unit, you can sell the new thing you just built for $230,000, $250,000, and it probably decreases what you can sell the house for a little bit. So you have to do the math to see if that works. These are the first examples. This one is Saban Green in Portland, but I was just meeting with some folks in Austin, Texas, where the developer is building couplets, house and ADU, selling the ADU separately in the $400,000, $500,000 range for the ADU. And they're also building these detached structures in between them. They actually built something that would be around where that tree is, where the front half of the structure is a garage and the back half is storage for the ADU. And they're putting the lot line there, defining that as the separative ownership. So it is new to Portland. It is being experimented with other places. That's a much more expensive housing, well, portion of Austin market.
There are a lot of jurisdictions that don't allow you to sell, and I used to work for Monterey County in California, and they don't allow you to even rent your ADUs. People do it anyway, but technically you're not supposed to be able to. So you have to find a jurisdiction like Portland that doesn't care.
Yeah, Portland has to, in Portland's perspective, I mean, they allow you to rent both out, but this allows you to get into both the ownership. I mean, otherwise that's not going to happen. In Portland zoning code is particularly, the jargon is tenure neutral, meaning that the zoning code doesn't usually care about the ownership structure. San Francisco, very hot market with very strong tenant associations. There the city is very involved. They have a lottery for condo conversions. So it's they have a very heavy hand on what you can do related to condos. So it is worth checking out jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Portland, they're here nor there on it, which means you can do it. So what else do you want to toss in here, Christy? Great. How's it worked out? What do you think?
It's working out well. Yeah, a ton of interest. That ADU is sold and that house is sold. They were built first, and the ADU sold in 2 days. And I've had ever since that house sold in the area for people who are interested in these. So yeah, it's been a popular concept.
something else we haven't talked about much is that, I mean, the community side, that's what got me into it in the first place, is that this is a way of creating really nice community spaces that get shared by people, and breaks down the yard boundaries that are the norms in single family neighborhoods. So if you're trying to get community layouts and every lot has to face the street, this is one of those ways of creating little commons, respecting the way lines are really drawn.
How big is this lot?
It's 20,000 square feet.
So, what, is there one tax lot here? Or are there three?
Currently there are three. Once the condominium is recorded, those lot lines will go away and it'll just be one lot.
I will clarify though, if the condominium ever got dissolved entirely, then it would revert back to 3 single family lots. So the city of Portland, from their perspective, it's still, this is one lot, that's one lot, the other one's one lot. Each one's a lot with a house and detached ADU. But it's unlike condominiums, very rarely get disbanded. So I'll bet you have 3 different water services, right? So yeah, you can't, so for example, in Portland, you can't use water lines, can't cross property lines. So even if you wanted to just put in 1.5 inch meter to serve all this stuff, sorry, no go. The city still thinks of it as these are different lots, but the county tax assessor now has 6 lots to work with, or they soon will.
Right.
Once you get the condominium declaration report.
7 actually.
7, okay, what's the 7?
The tax lot.
What you did? Oh, okay. General comment only?
And the condominium
They won't get its
association
own-
owns?
won't get its own property tax.
Eli, talk louder.
Okay, so when you look at the plat map, there'll be an area defined as general common element, which is right in the middle here. That's not going to be its own tax. It's not going to have its own property tax bill. The way associations, the way condominiums work, is every house, every unit in a house is a unit, has a property tax bill. Then there's this other portion of the site which nobody owns, the association owns. In projects I've done, sometimes I've actually had a house on that, a common house. That gets no property tax bill. The assumption is that if you own you own this house, part of your value is having access to the common elements. Or it could hurt you if the house is like in total disrepair and it's a fire hazard. That could be a liability, right? But the idea is that the value of the common elements is captured in the property tax assessment for the house. And it's always better to think big picture on this. If you have like a 100-unit subdivision, or condominium association, which has like a swimming pool and a clubhouse, all that stuff. The swimming pool clubhouse doesn't have its own property tax bill. That's folded into the property tax association with each of the homes. Yeah.
So with the commons thing, do you just have like an agreement with all the homeowners saying no one's going to put a fence between?
Yeah, you have bylaws, and that's part of the bylaws. Yeah.
What are your HOA fees?
These are 100. That's like 75. 25, 20, 30.
Is that monthly?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Cheap. Monthly?
Yeah. Yeah, it covers insurance and landscape maintenance and reserve for the fence.
And each homeowner is responsible for all exterior of the home.
Yeah, so it's a site condo, so you own the entire structure.
And you can set that up either way. There's one association on Clinton and 70, what is it? Hastings Green, 71st in Clinton, which is actually a bunch of single-family homes, not accessory dwelling units, but single-family homes sprinkled over tax lots on 2 sides of a street, actually. And there, the association owns the exterior. So when the siding needs to get replaced, it's up to the association to do it. You can do it either way. I kind of like what you've done, and that way the association doesn't have to deal with setting aside replacement reserve money to replace the siding if something goes
The
downhill.
other benefit of a site condo is it's exempt from FHA rules, which means it's a lot easier to get financing when you go to buy it. If you've ever bought a condo or know anybody who has, you have all these rules and regulations, and these are exempt from them.
But is there a regulation when your house looks really bad that you have to do it, or how?
Yeah, that's in the bylaws. Yeah, you have to maintain your structure.
And there's usually a clause saying that if you don't, the association can do it for you and charge you for it.
Yeah.
So obviously rarely exercised, but the association has that authority usually.
Do they need to maintain similar appearance to each other, across boundary lines? What are their current boundary lines?
As far as like colors and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, my bylaws say that if after I'm out of it, they all want to paint it different shades of purple, I don't care. So.
Yeah.
totally,
maintain
and there's
control
some
right now.
projects in Bend where you've got this authoritarian architectural design committee. You can't do anything, and it locks in design through legal instruments forever, which I think is kind of sad because I think houses it's nice when they can evolve.
Is that ice cream?
Yep.
Bye-bye.